Welcome to From Bottles to the Boardroom, where we explore the blend of the best, the people, places, and possibilities of Southern California wine country. I'm your host, Connie Stouffer. In each episode, we sit down with local leaders, innovators, and dreamers who are building business and community among the vines. Because here in SoCal wine country, business growth meets the good life, and every conversation starts with a good pour. In this episode, Bill Wilson and Greg Pennyroyal with Wilson Creek Winery reveal how one small family winery transformed a failure into a thriving, sustainable business rooted in regenerative agriculture and authentic connection. Their story isn't just about wine, it's about purpose, innovation, and a community-driven approach that's reshaping California's wine region. Discover how their journey, full of risk, sacrifice, and bold decisions, led to a winery that's not just a business, but a vibrant setting for environmental stewardship and local collaboration. Bill and Greg share their pioneering efforts in blending science with tradition, from partnering with high schools on regenerative agriculture to thriving in a culture of community that sets Temecula apart. If you've ever wondered how to turn passion into purpose, or how a region's unique climate and culture can elevate your appreciation and even your health, this episode is essential listening. Get ready to see wine country through a new lens, one where community, science, and passion come together to craft not just wine, but a legacy. Bill Wilson and Greg Pennyroyal, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm really excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you. It's awesome to be here.
We're really pleased. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, of course. Bill, I can just jump right in with you. I kind of wanted to get a history of Wilson Creek Winery and kind of what inspired you to start the winery and kind of the history of how it's grown.
Well, you don't have enough time because it's a really good story. It was out of failure, actually, of my failure in the financial world. I thought I'd like it much more than I did, and so I didn't do all the extra things you needed to do. I didn't work the 12-hour days, 14-hour days, and I bounced around from different aspects of the financial world because that was what my college degree was in. And I teamed up with a gentleman that we were looking for a business to buy, a 75-year-old single, no kids, wants out, willing to carry paper owner, and that I raised the money and he spent it. So after it was time to pony up more money, I said, I'm done. I can't do it. My dreams were crushed. I needed to move on. So I asked my best friend what I should do for a living. And he says, I was just down in Temecula. Remember we went there for your wife's birthday? I said, yeah. And he goes, well, I just spent the weekend there, and I got talking to one of the winery owners. He's 75-year-old single, no kids, wants out, willing to carry paper. And I went, oh my gosh. My parents were thinking about moving up to Solvang area, which meant I was going to lose two very important people, or at least have to now travel 4 hours to meet them or do anything with them. So I kind of ran it up the flagpole, and I first of all asked my wife, what do you think? And she goes, I think we'd be pretty good at it. So we asked mom and dad, and they said we're crazy. And they said, well, but in all essence, if we did it as a family, we'd probably be pretty good. So I asked my brother, he's an ordained minister up in Sacramento, and I'm like, oh boy, if there's a deal killer, it's going to be him. And his first response back to me was Jesus' first miracle. So I got over the religious hurdle, and then my sister, who was living up in Solvang at the time, says, where the hell's Temecula? And had no idea. And so she's like, well, why don't we do it up in Santa Barbara? Why don't we do it up in Sonoma or Napa? Paso wasn't even an idea on the map at the time. And so we all just quit our jobs. We all moved down to Temecula. We all sold anything and everything to get involved in the business. Well, first of all, the more we wanted to buy the gentleman's business, the more he didn't want to sell. Why didn't he want to sell? He was a 75-year-old single guy using the winery to pick up on women in his social life. There was no getting over that hurdle. So we did the best thing. My dad still said I think we'd be really good at it. And we ended up buying an existing vineyard and built the winery from scratch. And that was the best decision ever. And we were out here on Little Ranch, California Road, and the nearest winery to us was some 3 miles away. And we kept saying, are we too far out? Are we too far out? Now there's what, 8 wineries in between us
At
and
least,
still coming.
and
So,
popping up.
we went for it, and we couldn't do it today because we didn't have enough money, and that's what sets us apart. I'm trying to feed 4 families. This isn't a tax write-off. We don't have the big bucks. We mortgaged our homes and sold our homes and took the equity, and here we are. So it's a really great success story. We're just going to be a small little family winery, and we didn't just welcome people in. We're like, thank you so much for coming, thank you, because it was all on the line, man. It was all in and then some. We had to borrow money from friends and family before the banks kicked in. We sold everything we had. It was some tough times, let me tell you. There's more stories about that, but I won't get into it. It's not easy opening a winery, but boy, it sure is fun.
But so what was your first case goal? This is telling of the story.
We wanted to do 1,000 cases the first year, and in the 5th year we were going to do 5,000, and year 2 we sold 15,000 cases. Now that's the good news. The bad news is our goal was 5,000 cases, and in 10,000 cases, and we did that year 2, and we weren't set up for it. And so our biggest complaint from the day we opened our doors to still today is we're too busy. And what you see when you come on the property is a mere example of us trying to accommodate the people that are coming and expanding and operating and opening and doing more just to handle the people that want to be part of this. And it is special. And you walk on this property and it's different than any other winery you're going to see up and down the coast. It just feels different. Everybody goes, I don't know what it is, Bill. It just feels different. And I go, yeah, it does, because we're here. We're on it. We love it. We treat our family. We treat our employees as family. We treat our guests as family. We call them family. And this is all we got. We don't have any type of real estate out there. We don't have malls. We don't have hotels. We don't have other resorts. This is all we have. And a huge bank debt. And I can't believe that they've allowed me to have this much bank debt, but I'll take it. And we've never missed a payment, and we never will. We're just still constantly putting back money into the business. My dad said very early on, if I knew what a lousy bit. No, you say this. This is your story.
This was actually an interview with the Hong Kong Financial News, and Jerry and I were out talking, and someone asked him, what kind of financial decision was this for you as a banker? And if he said, if I had any idea what a lousy cash flow and financial perspective would be, I would have never done it. But if I had any idea how much fun I would have blowing my kids' inheritance, I would have done it way sooner. That just sort of sums up the business.
Yeah.
You do it out of love. I mean, something Bill mentions is people don't know why we have the magic touch. All of us who work here know why it's the magic touch, because it's not just an occupation. This is a mission for us. We're on the mission to enhance people's lives. I'm on the mission to enhance the environment. Everyone here has a deep personal connection to what we do, and people feel it. People come. Another thing I like to say, when people show up here, they say, hi, how are you doing? Standard greeting. And I just look at them and go, come on, man, I work at a winery. That's a really dumb question. And they always laugh. They get it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, Bill, when you started, you said when you were in finance, in the financial industry, you didn't want to put in those 12 and 14-hour days. And I'm sure you're putting those in all the time at the winery, but it's more of a labor of love, right? You don't mind it as much.
Well, yeah, as I say to this day, you got to follow your heart. Your pocketbook will follow. If you lead with your pocketbook, you're walking backwards and blundering. So you got to lead with your heart. Whatever you do, you have to love what you do. If you love what you do, you will knock on that extra door. You will make that extra phone call. You will ask that next person, hey, I'm in this business. I'm doing whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. If you don't like it and you don't have the confidence in yourself, remember, I was a 25-year-old pimple-faced stockbroker, like broke as could be. Why would anybody listen to my financial advice? That was what's in my head. So you project, you don't want to do business with me. But I had to get 100 no's. And once I got 100 no's, I could go play volleyball and surf on the beach down in San Diego. So, I was real quick to get the no's. But, oh, my God, I got a yes. Okay, fine. But, yeah, it just was not the life for me. Well, here, 12-hour days are almost minimum, especially if I have an event at night. it could be 14, 16-hour days. And I love it. And the first 8 hours I work with both hands. And then the next 8 hours it's one because there's a glass of wine in it. So that
It's
doesn't.
quality control, right? You got to keep.
Well, yeah, you gotta live your product and constantly check your product for sure.
And Bill, you and nobody else in your family had agricultural experience, right? Or
Well,
did
it was in our blood. My grandfather and my mom specifically were. My mom was raised on a farm in Iowa.
oh, okay.
My grandfather was a dairy farmer, and he was a professor of agriculture at Iowa State.
Okay.
In 1980, when I graduated high school, my goal was to go to central Iowa because I was being recruited for football there and learn the agriculture business and take over the family farm in Iowa. And my parents kind of said, Bill, you're a snow skier. Well, they got snow and,
They don't have hills though. They don't have mountains.
I'm not sure you're cut out. And also, that's right when John Cougar Mellencamp was coming out with Farm Aid 1.
Oh, okay.
And he had leased everything and sold everything to a Hertz Farm Management. And anyway, long story short, we ended up having to sell our position in that to raise money to get over the hump before the bank kicked in. So, yeah, it's in our blood, full circle, come back, and here I am, farming is, my grandfather would be proud. I didn't have a big relation. He died fairly young, and we lived in California. He lived in Iowa, but yeah, it's in the blood.
And it's been a tremendous advantage for me as an agronomist that at least someone here understands what we're actually doing out there. So Bill and I immediately go deep into details, cover crop, with crimping, all the details. Whereas it's, in the wine industry, it's so many industries stacked one on the other that you have to have expertise in agriculture, in marketing, in manufacturing, in shipping, in warehousing, in finance. I mean, it's just an amazing business.
Yeah, there's three components to the wine business, as I tell people. One, you got to grow the grapes, which is biology, 100% biology. And it's a full-time job, and it's a full-time education, 4-year plus education. Number two, once it's ripe, you got to pick it, and you got to turn it into wine, which is chemistry. Full-time job, full-time education, plus. And then once it's in the bottle, now you got to sell it, which is marketing and sales and everything else. And the research that I did bore out that if you try to do 2 of the 3, you're going to screw up 1 of the 2, if not all 3. Stay in your lane, bro. And, because I was going to be the farmer and the winemaker, and then, everybody's going to sell and this and that. We had our goal was 8 family members and 1 Girl Friday. And Kim Kelleher is the Girl Friday.
Oh.
She was our first employee. And now I have over 200 Girl Fridays. It's pretty incredible. But stay in your lane. And very early on, we had our wine made down the street. And the winemaker that made it for us, we were there tasting it out. And the tour guide came up and said, "Hi, would you say hi to the tour group?" And he's, "Oh, no, man. Tell him I'm in a meeting. No, I'm in a meeting." I go, "Hey, dude." I won't tell him his name. "Hey, dude. I'd like to hear what you got to say. I mean, it's kind of cool. Why don't you do?" No. I hate that. I just want to make my wine. He hid behind the tank. And I went, ding, 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 ding. You got to be with the people. The people are what makes this business. You can sit on a tractor all day long, but unless you like people, do not get into the wine business. It's horrible. Even, from a guy that is in the vineyard. We're having him speaking. We're having him out at functions, and if you're shy and if you're not confident, you're gonna be lousy. So basically we operate 7 businesses all within one business. It's nuts.
And it's part of the magic of this business in that it's rare that something is this vertically integrated and honestly vertically integrated. People come here and get to see every aspect from the compost heap to the final bottle. And they're just, people don't quite get where their food comes from and why integrity in the vineyard's important and why nutrient density is important and why lack of chemicals is important and, all those issues until they come here and they go for a walk in the vineyard. And hopefully one of us is walking around It's one of the things I love about this business. I try to get out there at the end of the day, every chance I get, and just bump into as many people as I can.
He just wants a glass of wine. Don't
Well,
let him fool you.
You're
that's
onto him.
good.
Well, Greg, I wonder if that's a good segue because I really want to talk more about the science of what you guys do there, about from growing the grapes. You guys are big into doing kind of regenerative agriculture and really thinking about how it impacts our food. And I know you guys are partnering with Temecula Valley High School. They have a regenerative ag program that I think you guys have partnered on them with to kind of teach that
Yes,
science to them.
We
So
started it.
yeah,
Yeah. So, my prior position to coming here was actually drug development. And I have to say, making drugs was easier than making wine. It's a little more linear. There's less to it. We practice something here called regenerative ag, as you did. And what that basically means is we look to see what the natural systems would be doing, and then we try to emulate and support those. So when I studied ag in school, and pretty much what we were taught is, what are you going to kill today? What sort of fungicide you're going to spray? What sort of herbicide you're going to spray? Whereas this is, what life system am I going to support today? And it's not easy. I mean, we are on the cutting edge. We make a lot of mistakes. We are learning a lot very consistently. But it's one of the benefits of having such a people-forward business is that we see those immediate rewards. Just last Friday, we had a wine academy. It's a monthly wine education program that we do. And I brought 2 of the students from the high school. And they absolutely slammed the presentation. They were incredible. People were inspired. Great. Yeah, not only these kids articulate and focused and know what they're doing, but it was inspiring. The subtext on this was a bit of optimism. The downside to Earth, well, it's now Earth Month, but Earth Day, is it's a little depressing. When you listen to the poly crisis issues that we have, it can be a little depressing until you speak to some of these young kids and they are so on it and they're going, look, you guys didn't do the best job in the world, but that's okay. We don't mind inheriting an old messed up pickup truck. We will rebuild it. And that's what they're doing. They're focused, they're educated. Almost every one of them has gotten a scholarship to an Ivy League school. One of the young men today is saying, I don't want to go to school right away. I want to jump right into the industry.
And he was the
learn.
smartest one of
and
the two.
And he was the smartest, yeah.
And he didn't want to go to college. He wanted to get right into the business and set the world on fire through hands-on and business. He goes, then I'll go to school later and learn what I need to learn after I do it for a while.
Which is actually pretty good advice. That's advice I actually give a lot of my students, is try to get a couple of years industry experience or just life experience under your belt, and then you're focused when you go to school. Mm-hmm. That also helps with your BS detectors, because the challenge with a lot of the university education right now is it's about 5 to 10 years behind the science. The course that I teach at the local college, I have to update it every year because the science is changing so quickly. What I taught 10 years ago is very different what I teach now. Unfortunately, what I teach now looks more like nature. It's starting to, the pieces are falling together, and we're starting to develop systems that are telling us the story.
Well, and speaking of making drugs, usually those drugs are meant to help us be healthier. So can you tell me about the health impacts of wine? Because there's some myths out there, I think, about drinking and its impact on your health. So I wonder if you want to spend some time.
Another hour on this, please. Let's go.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to quite follow Bill's lead on the origin story. So, my background was actually in human health, and I did medicinal plant biogenetics was my training, taking a look at how the microbiome affects plant-based medicines. Wine is about as medicinal as you can get, but in moderation, like everything else. So a lot of this brouhaha that's going on about wine being unhealthy came from a single study that came out of WHO, and I actually read the study, all 300 and something pages of it. It's a lousy study. Yeah, sorry, but it's a lousy study. It was obviously politically motivated. So the vast majority of the data shows that, there's this concept of blue zones, areas where people live extremely long and have great, health statistics and all that. Consistently, there is some sort of wine within the diet. There are good scientific supports for things like resveratrol, the overall antioxidant capacity of wine, all those things, which, by the way, get enhanced many-fold with a regenerative system. That's the connection between regenerative and health, is not only are we not poisoning the environment, but the actual wine itself becomes biochemically more dense and balanced, which then helps your biochemistry. But here's the
Yeah,
real issue.
hang on, we're not adding, we don't want to add any additives to correct a faulty grape. And so with a proper soil and proper nutrition program in the vineyard, it actually makes the life of a winemaker much easier. A winemaker's job is to fix the problems. Well, if you have a grape that's naturally fermenting on a nice, easy sloping curve and doesn't have problems because it's genetically sound and it's grown well and picked right and right yeast and right conditions, it's going to be a much better fermentation and a much better structure of the wine when you and I consume it. Now,
Yeah.
again, getting back to the regenerative part, you get more dense grapes, you get more resveratrol, you get better nutrition into that grape, which is going to come out in the end product, especially if we're not adding a bunch of
Yeah, additives and
non-organic
correcting it. Yeah.
additions.
So we have an expression in the vineyard. It's our job that the winemaker is only doing artistic chemistry, never corrected chemistry. We want her to be enhancing what's naturally there. But I did want to get back to the health aspect. The longest ongoing study in history is called the Harvard Longitudinal Study of Health and Longevity. It's been going on for over 100 years, and they track whether people smoke or they drink, they exercise, they're all sorts of data. One of the things they track is the amount of social interactions that people have. Are they happily married? How many friends do they have? How often do they interact with their friends? And not only is that the number one indicator, but when they track everything else, it's literally off by itself at the top. It is the number one indicator of longevity, of health, and the lack of degenerative diseases. So this whole issue about alcohol consumption, wine has alcohol in it, but it's not alcohol. If you wanted alcohol, you'd be buying cheap gin or vodka from, and making a vodka and orange juice. Wine is food, and food is culture, and culture is that social connection. And that's what we do here. People come here not necessarily for the wine, but for what the wine brings out. People come here to interact, and as part of what's so fun here, you can't at the end of the day walk over to the tasting room and not bump into a bunch of people and just get pulled into an interaction. That's the healthiest part of what's going on with the winery.
Yeah, and every different age group, male, female, red, white, blue, green, they're all different colors here. We are a biggest melting pot. We are, God bless America right here, and we just want you to come in with an open mind and enjoy not being in a concrete jungle. Come out to the wine country. And people ask me all the time, when are you going to pave your parking lot now that you can afford it? And I say, never. We're in a farm. I want you to experience that right when you pull off the road. You're in a gravel parking lot, and it's going to stay that way because I'm not going to be a Walmart parking lot. I don't want that asphalt. And well, I can't bring my Ferrari. Well, I'm sorry, don't bring your Ferrari. You can't put wine in the trunk of your Ferrari anyway. So stop it. So we haven't catered. We still want to keep it natural. We want to keep it fun. And when you're inside our courtyard, which is, what we're known for, you are in a different world. You are in a different, oh my God, it's just the stress comes off your shoulder. As we say, are your shoulders down or your shoulders up? Like, oh my God, I'm David Muir and here we go. But are your shoulders down? Are you relaxed? And that's, I'm just going to toot your horn, and whoever is listening to this from your perspective, that's valley wide. This is a unique valley, and the people that come here and want to put a business here, you better be cool, because if you're not, they'll run you out of town. You've got to come in and put your arms around Temecula. You put your arms around Temecula, Temecula put your arms around you. And it is a wonderful place to raise your family and your kids. We came out here and the business was the most important thing. We didn't even, my wife gave me an ultimatum. I couldn't be 2 hours from an airport, and she didn't want to raise country bumpkin. We had a 3.5 and an 18-month-old when we came out here. the school system in Temecula, the people of Temecula, the leadership of Temecula, the groups that you and I belong to in Temecula are amazing individuals. And they're not doing it to rule the world. They're doing it to enhance Temecula, the best Temecula can be. And we happen to have a beautiful gem of a wine country right in our backyard. Come on out here and you're like, what the heck? And unfortunately, there are some people who live in Temecula that have never been out here. It's amazing.
That's
I'm
a
like, what are
crime,
you
honestly.
thinking? What rock do you live under?
I know. Well, and that's a good point because, as you know, Bill, we work really hard here at the EDC to bring new businesses here to the region, and there is, I think, a perception that like all of California is the same, right? Like it's going to be hard to do business here. You know, there are things in California that are maybe different than Texas or wherever, but every part of California is different. And I think Temecula is really unique here that like the business community is very welcoming. The community is very welcoming, that if you want to bring a business here and make the community a better place and do good jobs and do good things, I think you're going to find a very welcoming, embracing community, right?
100%. But if you come in and say, I'm better than this community, I'm here just because, and I'm going to, make my millions off everybody here, and my wine's better than your wine because I bring it in from out of the area. No. If you're a restaurant and you say, I don't support, local farming, I don't support here, we'll run you out of town. Because we tell people every day where to go to dinner. Where are you going to go next? Because we close at 6 and there's a whole nother evening ahead of them. So we're a hospitality concierge, so to speak. So when you start talking negative about Temecula, we don't send people there. Why would we? Mm-hmm. People have closed down because of that. It's that was just kind of fun that one time.
It doesn't happen that often.
But
and from a winemaker's perspective, part of so I just was up at a Discover California junket that we did up in Sacramento. We're talking to all these media influencers and writers about California tourism, and at the end, to a T, they came up and said Temecula is such a different place. Like, you guys actually talk to each other, you cooperate. If someone finds a varietal and finds a yeast combination or something that really works, the first thing they do is invite the rest of us over and go, hey, try this. This really works here. Mm-hmm. Or, the work that we're doing, we are obviously the leaders in Regen Ag, not only in Temecula, but in a lot of California. And quite frankly, it's not cheap being number one. The old business axiom of number two is definitely the profitable position, not necessarily number one. However, it's the right thing to do. And we're doing it. And every time, like in this Grape Days, it's our annual kind of technical symposium we have as winemakers. We're doing a presentation with a group called the One Block Challenge, which is easing people into regenerative practices. Is find one block, do 2 practices, do 2 tests, and track it for a year. But where are you going to get all the technical support? Well, from the high school students who've all been learning, and they're going to go out and they're going to teach the vineyard owners and especially the small growers. That's another thing we do here is we have a small growers association, and we have over 300 members.
On the price of admission?
$0. Well, it's a bottle of wine. You got to bring a bottle of wine or something good
for yourself to drink.
That's how we do business in Temecula. If you bring a bottle of wine, they're going to let you in.
Yeah,
that's the price of admission.
You shares with everybody, and they'll interrupt the class. Somebody will come over, walk over, and somebody's speaking and go, "Hey, try this. You got to try my wine." It's so fun.
They're a ton of fun. Anyone who's a grower out there, second Monday of the month, just show up. But what's interesting about that is about, a third of our production in the valley, maybe a little more, small growers. It's significant. I mean, they would be the second or third largest grower in the valley combined. And because they're small, they're willing to innovate. And so it's a cool way of us doing kind of the hard, heavy lifting science and then saying, okay, how do we bring this regionally to be incorporated? And the small growers are kind of taking the lead. And some of the small growers are going to be teaching some of the bigger vineyards that it's harder for them to innovate because there's just a lot, there's a lot of risk there. Small grower, if it doesn't work out, you just write it off on your taxes and figure out something else.
It's hard to scale sometimes.
Yeah, it can be really hard to scale.
If you're not set up for it.
But the cooperation in this valley is unlike anything I've seen in any other wine region.
We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Castile Builders. Looking for a commercial construction partner you can trust in Southern California? For over 20 years, Castile Builders has built a reputation for excellence as a full-service general contractor. From design build and design assist to tenant improvements, structural rehabs, concrete tilt-ups, and lead construction, their team brings hands-on market experience to every project. Their standout skill is composing conceptual design build budgets before any plans or drawings are paid. This is to create an understanding and direction based on the project needs, site conditions, and budget. Castile Builders believes great buildings start with listening. They take the time to understand your immediate needs while planning for long-term flexibility and growth. Every project is guided by detailed planning, strict quality standards, and skilled professionals. With careful team selection, consistent client reviews, and disciplined weekly project and phase meetings, they deliver projects on time and on budget. Castile Builders, building today with your future business growth in mind. And we're back. Yeah, it's really amazing here, I think. And I wonder too, because I've heard that in other parts of California, there's a lot of vineyards being pulled out,
Yes.
right? But I see planting happening here. There's
There's a little bit of a surplus currently. Most of the planting is replacing vines that have died from neglect or disease or some other thing, kind of part of a normal rotation. The industry itself is roughly about 28 to 30% overproducing. I mean, it's significant. And a lot of for years, you almost couldn't lose planting a vineyard. And people just planted and kept, they assumed that the industry was going to keep growing at anywhere from 12 to 16% per year. It was like never ending. And then of course it's actually started to decline, and then COVID hit and it covered up the decline. It started to go down, but then suddenly when everyone was home, wine sales went up.
I know I drank more wine during COVID.
Yeah, everybody did.
Well, I truly believe this slight decline in sales, as people are ripping it out because there's, quote, an oversupply. I kind of call it the COVID hangover, where, we're all like, man, we've been drinking like every day for 2 years straight. We got to calm it down. So, they've kind of cooled off their drinking. But you got to put it in perspective. These are people that have thousands of acres, and they've got other farmland that they're dealing with, and they're like, I can make more money ripping out my vines and planting potatoes in the breadbasket of the world. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're choosing, and so be it. That's fine. Here in Temecula, we are so small, and we call us small growers. There's people there with a half an acre. They they talk about how many vines they have. And, it's really more of a landscaping, because you can buy 2.5 acres out here with a nice house on it for what you can afford in any other part of the California. And they go, what do I do with this land? What do I do with it? Like, there's nothing better. They're sitting on your back patio drinking a glass of wine that came from that vineyard right there. That's what you should do. And they're like, yep, that's what I should do. And it's not going to make you money. It's just not going to cost you as much as if that was in landscaping with the price of water and maintenance and backbreaking. Plant a vineyard.
And as part of the introduction, when people come in to the small growers group, some of them are planning on putting in a vineyard. Step one, you are never going to make money on this. You have to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
If you can get past that hurdle, step two is the wine community here is just a fun community. You get to work with other small growers. You sometimes get to work with a big winery. You get invited to the symposiums. I mean, it's just a really cool cooperative community.
And those are tax write-offs while you'll never make money.
And our January meeting every year is Daniel Green. It's our most popular meeting. We pack the house of how you can get thousands in deductions off of the vineyard that would, if you're lucky to break even on.
Yeah.
So
that's
up,
right.
If you have income to shelter, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And that's not Wilson Creek.
That's not Wilson Creek.
Yeah.
Okay, so say someone was listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm buying into the food and culture aspect of wine, but I don't know anything about wine. Because I remember the very first time I went to a tasting room, I didn't know what a dry wine was. I didn't know how to identify what kind of wine I liked. I didn't know what a tannin was. Like, how would somebody who's coming to Temecula for the first time, they're walking into a tasting room for the first time, they don't know anything about wine, how can they approach it and walk out of there feeling like, oh, I had fun first of all, and now I know a little bit more about what I like, so I can buy a bottle at the end of the day.
That's it.
Exactly. And we specialize in that. We get people that have never been to a winery before, all the way up to, I own a winery, or I have a 6,000 bottle collection. I only drink Napa. In business, there's a rule out there that you don't want to have something for everybody. You want to specialize. Well, we specialize in having something for everybody. So we break it down, and somebody says, well, I don't know what I like. And we identify, well, how do you take your coffee? How do you like your coffee? Do you like it with cream and sugar? Or do you like it black with an extra shot of espresso in it just to get that, gritty? That's your taste buds. So you just immediately right there say, oh, yeah, I'm a cappuccino cream and sugar guy.
Just
well,
for the
you're
record,
going to have
I
a sweet...
do a shot of port, just for the record.
Well, yeah, yeah. So, just it depends on where your palate is. I'm definitely a black drinker, coffee drinker, and I like the big, bold reds. My buddy is a foo-foo coffee drinker, and he likes the muscat and sweet whites. There's nothing wrong with that. A true oenophile, or true wine geek, or true, call them whatever you want to call them, they appreciate each wine for what it is and why it was made. One of the things we have here, people ask me this question every single day that I'm down there. What's your favorite wine? My dad used to say, well, they're like my children. I like them all, which was a lie because he liked me better. And but I say, what time is it? And they'll look at their watch and they say, it's 4 o'clock. I go, no. What time do you want me to pick out my favorite wine? Is it at 7 o'clock with dinner? Is it 2 o'clock in a picnic? Is it on the boat in a sunny afternoon? Is it 60 degrees and cold? Is it midnight sitting in the front of the fireplace? What is it? And so somebody built me a clock with a bottle of wine on each hour of the day of which my favorite wine that I would serve at that hour of the day, with champagne being anything before noon and champagne popping the cork at midnight. So that's everything else is all by the afternoon and into the evening. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I typically like reds, but like on a hot sunny day, like something sparkling sounds so much more refreshing than a deep dark red, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we start with the wine that you like. And we also start with, how far do you want to get into this? Do you just want to learn some basics and learn to show up with your friends and enjoy? There's nothing wrong with that.
And here's how you hold a glass.
Yeah, or have a stem. But the other side is, people are coming here for an experience, and we encourage them to dive a little bit deeper. Yeah, this is the proper technique.
This is how you hold a glass.
You don't want to make
nothing else.
You don't want to make the wine warm, right?
3 fingers, pinky underneath, thumb for counterbalance. You never want to hold it by the bowl. It's very offensive to the host that has the crystal-leaded glasses. You're getting glommy fingerprints all over that he has to wash by hand, and you're warming the wine beyond the temperature zone that the wine oenophile, what is a professional wine, not a winemaker, an
someone
experience.
Who is an aficionado of wine.
Aficionado, but not necessarily even a sommelier. You don't have to be a sommelier and know a lot about wine. And it's very offensive because he spent a lot of time making sure to taste it to make sure that that's the right temperature, because temperature masks or enhance flavors. Mm-hmm. So my mom is notorious for smacking the people on their hands and say, let me show you how to hold the glass of wine. And that's how you hold a glass of wine. And just starting there, you're fine. And we don't, well, my mom used to belittle people after she knows them for a while. You know better than that. They're like, yeah, sorry, Rosie, sorry. She's notorious for that. But
the one thing, we have a wide range of different styles and wines, and some of them are sweet, and there's nothing wrong with sweet wines. But the difference is every category we do is still quality wine. It's high quality within that category. So if people like flavored sparkling California wines, there's nothing wrong with that. I drink them, and I'm a winemaker. We also have incredibly dense, tannic, complex wines like Block 9 or the new native yeast Syrah, which is pretty intense. I mean, you want to work your way up to that wine, or Double Dog. It's not something that...
Petite Syrah.
Or Petite Syrah. You know, the other thing is you see a lot more of these wines in the old world because the culinary experience in the old world is much more flavor profiles. People are used to sour and bitter and, you know, the wide range of components that naturally occur in the diet. Our diets have kind of gotten reduced to sugar, fat, and salt. And part of what we're doing here is pulling people away from that. We have had a bunch of people that have taken the classes, maybe, you know, gone some extra classes, gone on a cruise, they come to the wine academies, and they come back and they say, you know, not only are we drinking better wine, we're eating better food. We're trying different things. We're traveling more. We're going to wine countries. It's connected to culture and food and experience and history. And, you know, wine is so interesting. It's so intertwined with civilization and who we are as a people that the more you get into it, it just sort of opens up the world for you.
The more you get into wine and the more you know about wine, the more you know you don't know.
Yeah.
And it just, the deeper you go, the deeper you go. My God. And that's kind of how Greg started with us. He came down here and he took our winemakers class, and he's like, well, you know, grapes are kind of a simple fruit. I mean, how hard could this be?
Famous last words.
Like, oh my God, you know, and every little thing you do has a matters. I mean, if you don't do something, then it's going to have an issue. If you do something, it's going to have an issue. So everything you do matters. And so what we do, and that's what's great about Temecula, they share what matters. When we came out here, people were giving me left and right how to do this and how to do that. And I'm like, why are you giving me all this information? This is, you know, my old business. They'd rather stab you in the back than give you a pencil. And they said, no, we want you to be successful, because if you're successful, then we're all successful.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have to go by my place to come to your place, and then they come back by my place again when they go back through town. So I need you to get people out there so they come back twice. So it was just amazing. And another person, and I asked a question to everybody who's giving me this. They said, we are 5 years ahead of you. If you started today with what we do, you're still 5 years behind. Hopefully we've caught up since then. But now with Greg and what we're doing out in the vineyard, we're leading that charge. Now it's coming at a price. I'm going to tell you, it's not the money saving aspect. Years one,
We'll get there.
One, two, and three.
Yeah, it's an investment.
It is a true investment, and but yet you feel good about it because you can see it, you can feel it. When we were first starting this approach, weeds were weeds. You know, my brother and I, we'd be taking pictures of Napa, where it's all this beautiful strip of grass right down the middle. Everything's dirt, everything's barren. And we come back and I take pictures of weeds all over, thinking it's total neglect from our crew not doing that. And Gary goes, no. Weeds are a medicinal plant health
species.
Indicator species.
Indicator species.
It's not a weed. It tells you what's going on in the vineyard. And sure enough, now, you know, I can tell, well, they didn't get cover crop over there because that's all foxtails, and my dog hates foxtails. And that's over there because we don't put seed over there. But down the middle of the rows and then underneath the vines are all beautiful weeds and plants that are there providing nitrogen. And the soil when we first moved here was hard as a rock. Unless it rained, and it was slippery as snot. Now it's literally, you know, like and I'm stealing it, it's like a foam padding that you're walking on, and it's mushy, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. We don't till anymore. We just till to get the seeds into the ground, a cover crop to replenish the cover crop, and then we fold it over. We don't mow. We fold it over and crimp them and do it, and that puts a nice layer of insulation on the soil, so it doesn't evaporate all the water that we put in specifically through emitters and everything else. So everything is all interacted, and again, it's not cheap, but over the time period, you can definitely tell it's making our wines taste better. It's making the vineyard more healthy, more microdynamic and biome and all these words that I can't even spell or pronounce, and yet he can spell them. It's crazy. So,
But I'd love to make the connection here to the whole idea of why do we form corporations in business and what are we doing? It's part of the reason, I came here 12 years ago. I had just developed a patent for developing genomic standardization of medicinal plants. And it was a big deal in the industry.
see,
We
Yeah,
finally
I
had
know.
it again.
All those big words.
say
right?
that again, Greg. What'd you come up with?
So what we're able to do is, instead of looking at the components of medicinal plants, look at the white blood cell gene response, and that predicted what would happen medicinally. So we had a comprehensive systems approach to taking a look at quality. And I got some pharmacognosists that responded to the articles, but we got a lot of winemakers commenting, which I thought was really weird. It's like, why are these guys so infatuated with the medical, the medicinal components? And it's because you do a bioassay on every wine. A bioassay is like a natural process for proving it. It's called fermentation. This gets back to when I first came here, the first person I met was Rosie, who was clipping roses. Actually, I was waiting for the winemaker, and I had a pair of clippers on me, so I'm clipping deadheads, and Rosie comes running over, and I'm the only one who clips deadheads. Who are you?
True.
And the idea that this business, especially with Jerry, Jerry Wilson infused an ethic into this company that still lives on to this day. And it was the idea that shareholder supremacy is not maybe the best idea. Is we're here to serve the community, we're here to serve our members. Shareholders need a fair return on their investment. That is just a given. But it's not supremacy. The corporation, the organization is here to do good for the community. And that was just baked into this company. And so when I saw the opportunity, I was saying, this is an interesting place to take this to the next level because A, winemakers get it, and B, I have to tell you, making wine is so much more fun than making drugs. This is the place to be.
Medicine.
Yeah.
Medicine.
Well, no,
Yeah.
wine is medicine. That's the whole thing.
No, I know, but it sounds like you're a drug dealer doing.
So we were standardizing Echinacea, St. John's wort, Valerian. We were doing a lot of those standardizations.
Speaking of growing the vines and the growing process, I get this question all the time, but what type of grapes are we good at growing here in the Temecula area? I think wine regions typically get yeah.
People talk all the time about Temecula being too hot to grow quality wine grapes. Wine grapes originally evolved in what's now modern day Iraq and Iran, and the temperature hasn't changed that much. It was hot then, it's still hot now. This is an ideal climate for growing grapes because we get hot days and cool nights, and grapes like sandy, well-drained soil with something called the diurnal shift, where you get the cold air from the ocean coming in every evening. The reason why many wine regions were further north is up until about 50 years ago, we didn't have good refrigeration. Up until about 25 years ago, we didn't have efficient refrigeration. So you had to be far enough north that you could dig a hole in the side of the mountain and it never got above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's no longer a limitation. So if you look at the really great emerging wine regions, it's Temecula, Valle de Guadalupe, New Zealand, South Africa. They're all warm regions because this is where grapes like to grow. It also, a lot of places, like the Willamette Valley, they do Pinot. And their Chardonnays are actually pretty good. There's a handful of cooler grape varietals that do well there, but that's about it. You're really pushing the limits of where grapes can grow. This region, we can grow everything except the handful of grapes that like it really cold, and that's not many.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not as hot as you think. I always look at I came from Pasadena, so I look at the weather from Pasadena to Temecula. It's the same weather. It's Pasadena, but yet our evenings cool down significantly more because we're 20 miles from the ocean. We get that desert out there that's pulling that cool air in, that afternoon breeze. The hottest part of the day here is at 11 o'clock in the morning. And then we get that afternoon breeze, and it just cools it off magnificently. But we're cooler than Paso, which is unusual. At Paso, Temecula so hot. No. Look at our deal, and degree day for degree day. We're that of Napa.
Degree days. We are close to southern. We're close to the coastal influence of Napa and Sonoma.
Which is,
yeah, I think people are always surprised. They assume because we're inland, we're going to be hot. And if you look at other communities that are similarly inland, they are hotter than us. But I think it's just that coastal breeze that comes through that gap really keeps us like the perfect temperature here.
and that is called the Rainbow Gap. Just for those that are not
Yes.
understanding,
Yes.
it's direct access to the ocean.
Yes.
Going so.
So if people are coming here, this is one of my last questions, but I ask everybody. If someone's coming here for the first time, what are like your top 3 recommendations for what they should do to have a great time while they're visiting?
Come here and stay here. Hang out.
Rinse and repeat twice.
Don't go anywhere else. Don't-
No, actually, we don't subscribe to that at all. There's so much to do here. The wineries are a great place to start. And the other cool thing about wineries is you're showing up and you're hanging out with other people. Our staff, they're locals. People come and say, you've never been to Temecula? Oh, what are you interested in? Everything from the little known heirloom rose gardens that are in the area to Pachanga, if you want like the pool and high-end experience, to Old Town, which has gotten pretty cool. And there's a lot of really good restaurants in Old Town. There's just a lot to do here. There's a lot of different wineries here. We are not shy about recommending other wineries. And the staff is really good about saying, do you have an experience in mind? And most people will say no. And it's like, okay, you've experienced the biggest, funnest, most kind of like off the charts experience. You want something super small and boutique, like you might have to knock on the guy's door to get him to open the door? Or do you want something in between? Or what are you looking for? And we'll send someone. And sometimes even call up, go, hey, I have a really nice couple that've never been here. This is what they're interested in. And then they show up and have a great experience.
So let me go back to your question. You didn't give a timeline. Top 3 things. What's my timeline?
Say they're here for a long weekend.
Oh, long weekend. Well, you got to check the bucket list and go balloon, do a hot air balloon and see the valley and see the ocean. You can see the ocean from up there in the balloons, and it's an early morning, yes. So then you go home, take a nap, and then come out wine tasting, or come wine tasting, then go take a nap, and then go out to a wonderful dinner. This area is actually turning into a pretty good foodie area too. Some of the wineries themselves are taking food to the next level. I know we are. We're investing in it, and some of the other areas around here is foodie. Again, you got Old Town, you've got horseback riding, you've got mountain plateaus around here within a 20-minute drive. It's just amazing. So there's a whole bunch of everything to do, or you don't have to do anything and just relax and just chill.
Yeah, I think that's one of the nice things about wine country in particular is that there's so many different wineries. Like there are ones like yours that have you guys often have great live music and a really fun atmosphere. And then there's ones with like pools where if you just like want to lay by the pool and drink all day, you can do that too. Or there's spas or there's restaurants or whatever. There's really an experience for everybody. And there's ones with little farms like that are good for kids and families. And there's ones with motorcycles.
Yeah. Well, that's what actually sets us apart from Napa. They're not allowed to do that. And we've been blessed to be able to do it within sound ordinances, which some exceed, and that's not good for the community. But, after 10 o'clock, it's supposed to be quiet as a church mouse out here. So, all music is off. and then you just get the peace and tranquility of the wind through the vineyard, which typically there's no wind at night.
You know, I had to laugh. There was an article in Wine Business Journal this month about how Napa wineries are experimenting with making their wineries family friendly and allowing kids. And I'm like, experimenting? We have a swing set.
We have a swing set. Come on.
We've done it.
We got a pond. You can throw rocks at the ducks.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we've been doing that for a long time, and it's just part of the ethos here. Interestingly enough, that, you might be a little nervous about having kids at a winery. Moms generally go down there. There's always a designated driver. It's like the one spot where we never have any problems because the moms are just and dads are so responsible. They're there. It's nice that they can, socialize a little bit, meet up with their, fellow parents, chill out. We see a lot of people there during the week when they just sort of need a break from,
My daughter's actually forming a mommy and me group of moms on a weekday to come out and enjoy wine. And, we'll go down and talk to them and say hi or give them a little bit of lessons. But, half of them are just chasing their kids around. And we set up, different things. We have Easter egg hunts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that we are encouraging children by any stretch of the imagination, but if you do bring your children, then please put a leash on them. I mean, you can't just let them run all over the place and throw footballs and baseballs and interfere with other guests. So that's what I'm saying by that. You got to keep them constrained. That's where they kind of go bonkers a little bit.
But you're also thoughtful about creating a separate area, which is better for the kids, it's better for the parents, and it's better for the rest of our guests.
Yeah, and I think I have a son, and a lot of our friends have kids the same age, and I think most of the time when we're out, the kids are well behaved. We're at the wineries where they're a better fit. Like some wineries are better suited for families and kids, and others are a different setting and vibe. But I think there is something for families to come out and have a good time and have a glass of wine or have dinner and still to be able to enjoy that.
Nothing like more than little kids out on the dance floor on a Friday night when we have our live music Friday nights, and they're out dancing, dancing their little heart out. And one of them might be my granddaughter, grandson, or all of them. And it just fills my heart that people are doing that. And it's great.
Yeah, it's such a fun time and such a great place to be for a family. But anyways, that's everything I have today. I want to thank both of you for joining me on the show. I really appreciate you sharing and all that you do in the community, both to create jobs, to support other growers and the region. You guys both do a lot. And so I really appreciate you being on the show and sharing about that today.
Well, it's super easy with people like you and people that live here in Temecula. Continue to bring only good people here. All right?
I'm trying.
We don't want just any business. We want nice people to come here.
Same.
I think the environmental self-select, but thank you for what you do also.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. That's it for today's episode of Bottles to the Boardroom. If you enjoyed this conversation, follow the show, leave a review, and share it with someone building something bold or someone who simply appreciates a great story paired with a great glass of wine. I'm Connie Stouffer, and I'll see you next time in Southern California wine country, where business growth meets the good life and every great idea starts with a good pour.